everybody, and welcome back to The Shining. And today we're going to be talking about a movie that gets way too much hate for no reason. Also, it's a Stephen King because I did a poll and that's what everybody wanted. So here we go. We are going to be talking about Dr. Sleep, the Shining sequel, directed by Mike Flanagan, starring Ewan McGregor and Rebecca Ferguson. Let's dive into this movie, shall we? First off, I would be lying if I said that I did not enjoy this movie. Partially, that is because, yes, I'm a very big fan of Stephen King adaptations. Even if they're not necessarily the best, I'm still just biased, so I enjoy them all anyway. However, I enjoy Dr. Sleep a lot. Probably more than what most people do. So what we'll do is I'm going to give you a quick synopsis in case you haven't seen it. And then I'll just kind of give you the pros and cons on what I like and what about this movie I didn't like or what could have made it better and blah, blah, blah. Quick synopsis, you have a more grown-up Danny. This is, after Danny is grown up and all that good stuff. So it's about, I'm going to say it's a little over 40 years after, everything happened at the Shining Hotel. Roughly, I think I did the math right on that. They don't really dive too deep into it. They just kind of give you the generalized summary of, yeah, he struggled with alcoholism too, kind of hit rock bottom, but he picked himself back up. And so then fast forward, now you have this group of like gypsies, which is led by Rose the Hat, played by Rebecca Ferguson. And yes, these gypsies travel and eat the shine from children. So essentially they're shine stealers. And so this is kind of the journey of Danny versus, these gypsies, because there's a little girl named Abra, and she becomes friends with Danny throughout the years because she can shine too. And she can shine a lot stronger than Danny can. And so now these gypsies are after her. She's trying to get revenge on these gypsies. And so that's pretty much what you're dealing with. It's gypsies that eat shine versus Abra and Danny Torrance. And that's pretty much the whole synopsis of the movie. Again, they don't really give a lot of backstory on Danny. It's very much jump right into the movie. They don't really waste much time going back and telling you what happened, because pretty much everybody has already watched The Shining at some point, and we know what happens. That's your synopsis. So now I kind of want to jump into the things that I really enjoyed about this movie. A lot of people don't like this movie. They don't think it's very scary. And to that, I understand. If you are expecting, a lot of jump scares and things of that nature, you are not going to get it from this movie. Mike Flanagan is really good at creating more of a stressful environment. Similar to how James Wan directs his movies, it's not necessarily jump scare as much as it is causing just anxiety and just, making you feel just uncomfortable. And I think that he does a really good job in this film. I just wish he would have, done a little more, but we'll talk about that later. But overall, I think it does a really good job at setting just that unsettling tone throughout this film. The Shining is really good at that as well. There's not a lot of jump scares in The Shining. It's all about just the atmosphere, making it as unsettling as you possibly can. And I'm not saying that Dr. Sleep does that to the same extent as The Shining, because it's two different directors. And I kind of have to give Mike Flanagan props. This had to be really difficult because we all know that Stanley Kubrick kind of took The Shining and made it his own in a way. So it wasn't necessarily what Stephen King wanted or what was in his novel. They're trying to do a sequel. Not only do they have to do a sequel that's true to the book Dr. Sleep, but they also have to create this sequel to fit the original format of The Shining. And as we see, Mike Flanagan did a lot of reshoots of scenes from The Shining in Dr. Sleep. And I'm just saying, the casting for that was perfect. Obviously, you're not going to find people that are as out there as Shelley Duvall and Jack Nicholson. But I think with what he was given, I think he did a fantastic job at piecing that together. And by the way, a lot of people don't really give him credit for that. That must have been super, super complicated. So I give him a lot of praise in that area. As far as the characters go, I really like Rebecca Ferguson's character, Rose the Hat. I really, really enjoy the whole like gypsy cult-esque thing that they have going on in this movie. I think it was really, really fun, and it, it spiced it up. It was something different. It wasn't, just ghosts, goblins, and ghouls. Now we have gypsies. So, I really thought that was a nice touch. As far as the bad guys, she's the only one that really stuck out to me as far as someone that I really, really enjoyed. Ewan McGregor did fantastic. A lot of people are very iffy when it comes to Ewan McGregor because everyone is used to seeing him be Obi-Wan Kenobi, and it's kind of difficult to unsee that, and I completely get it. I think he did a great job, personally. I always pictured Danny Torrance, older, being very quiet, kind of timid, and I think Ewan McGregor did a great job at conveying that onto the big screen. Now that we've said all the good things that I like about this movie, which is kind of, I like a majority of it, but there are things that I disliked that I wish they would have done better. So we're going to talk about that a little bit as well. Back to the Rose the Hat character, I enjoyed her a lot. The only issue I had was that they didn't build anyone else around that, that cult. They didn't build them up at all, except for Rose the Hat. And even throughout the movie, they make her look weak way too early. They just kind of let Abra and Danny dominate the last end of this movie, and I really think that is what hurt the overall feeling of the movie, because it seemed really rushed there towards the end. Again, it was a good ending, and I liked what they did, with it, having them go back to the Overlook Hotel to kind of finish it. I really, really enjoyed that. I just don't understand why it was so short. There's a lot of characters wrapped into, the Overlook Hotel. You have the Grady twins, you have, all the different, party goers or whatnot. And and the witch in the bathroom, you have all of these different characters, and instead we're just going to plug in the witch, a jillion times. They ruined that character for me. Because out of all of the, ghosts and apparitions or whatever that the Overlook created, it's only like the same one or two. So I really wish they would have explored more of their options when it came to the Overlook Hotel, considering of how big a part of the Overlook Hotel is to The Shining, period. So I don't know why we saved it just to rush it at the end. I don't know if many of you know this, in the original Shining novel, at the end, the Overlook is supposed to blow up, and, so technically the Overlook Hotel is not even supposed to be in this film, but luckily Stanley Kubrick did not blow it up, and so now we do get to have it at the end of Dr. Sleep. I just don't know if it's necessarily handled properly. As far as the atmosphere of the movie, like I said, Mike Flanagan does a really good job at creating that unsettling atmosphere. If you've seen Gerald's Game on Netflix, it's the same thing. He also, does that movie as well, which I really, really do recommend if you haven't watched it. It's on Netflix. I think it's still on there. But Gerald's Game, go check that out. If you liked Dr. Sleep, you'll definitely like Gerald's Game. And personally, I think Gerald's Game is scarier than Dr. Sleep. So there you go. I just wish he would have turned it up a little bit in this movie. There's so much more that he could have done. And I don't know if it's because, this movie was not released at a good time. You had both of the It movies coming out, around this time. They had already attempted to do The Dark Tower, which didn't do very good. So there was a lot, of Stephen King floating around. You had Gerald's Game and, different things on Netflix involving Stephen King. And then, boom, here's Dr. Sleep, the sequel to The Shining, and I just feel like they got swept under the rug because I don't think that people were ready. There wasn't a lot of hype, and I don't think that they took as much time on this movie that they could have or should have. I'm not saying don't watch this movie because you definitely need to, but it's not necessarily a scary movie. It's more of a horror / action, or maybe a thriller even. I wouldn't even say action. Thriller would be nice. But I don't know, the horror part of this is a little weak for me. There's barely any jump scares, and I mean, there is some really cool imagery in here as far as, like, you know, when they're shining or during the dream sequences and things like that. But other than that, that's really all we get. There is very little connection or feel between The Shining and Doctor Sleep. So I don't know, those are just my personal opinions on this movie. I really did enjoy Doctor Sleep, and I think everybody should, you know, give it an honest watch. If you haven't watched it, please do. Also, if you have any movie recommendations, please, like, you know, drop those in the comments. I really need more movies to watch, and now that it's, you know, October, I really got to bump up these scary movies. I have another video planned for probably either tomorrow or the next day. I'm going to try to get that done. But yeah, so we got stuff coming for spooky season and all that good stuff. So do not forget to like and subscribe. Thank you for watching, you know, the videos. If you've been around for over a year already, can you believe it? But just thank you for all your support. Don't forget to stay safe, keep it creepy, and I'll see you next time.